Scott Gregory. His fingertips that knocked the ball into the path of Josh Hunter. Last try, good hands from Paella. And the offload finds James Lowe. Good offload, but to the wrong shirt. Slimane, Robbie Henshaw, Geordie Barrett looks up, teasing, beautifully accurate kick for Jamie Osborne. Geometrically perfect from the All Black to the Leinster fullback.
That was a thing of beauty, wasn't it? Again, it just comes from a loose offload, but it's just amazing to sit back and watch here that you can see Barrett at least 10 seconds before he gets the ball. He knows that space is there. Calling for that ball. And with relative ease, swings the leg through the ball, and it's a canter for Osborne. But it's just that rugby genius on display again.
Leinster, it's going to be their 44th win for their last 48 matches in this stadium. Teams that have beaten them, the Saints obviously, Saracens, La Rochelle, Munster, all top quality sides. Munster beating them here in the semi-finals a couple of seasons back with a late dropped goal from Jack Crowley. How composed was that moment from Crowley on that occasion? Seven caps to his name for the 23-year-old.
It's a long old wait now to 80 minutes, isn't it, for Zebre? And of course, I've been on the receiving end of some big scores. We're going to keep playing. The various Italian teams I was with. And there's not much you can say. All you got to do is you got to keep the head up, keep trying to do the right things, because otherwise it could get even uglier.
Giacomo Barre is on 22 with the restart. Good carry by McKee. Doesn't get a huge amount of game time. Luke McGrath, James Lowe, flaps it back. Taken by Pitanari.
Backing off.
Can Zebre break this nil barrier that Glasgow and Harlequins failed to do?
That'll be lads.
And Thea and Barre ships it along.
There's just been a couple of times where Zebre have had the opportunity to move the ball a bit quicker. It's just been a little bit slow, and it's given Leinster a chance just to set this defence, and ultimately then they don't go anywhere.
Garthia is going to find space, and he's going to find Geordie Barrett. Enthusiasm levels never seem to drop from Geordie Barrett. Good counter up by Zebre. Powerful stuff, and it's been effective as well. Here's Garthia Stavile. It's a pretty good season, the flanker. Garthia to Gessie. Trying to shovel it on. Was that flat? Was it forward? Here's Paella. Play goes on. Tackle comes in from Andrew Porter.
I'll do.
Leinster up hard defensively. Kilhan was one of the tacklers. Keeping the pressure on. Pitanari, the tight head prop. Can he make it all the way to the line for a try? He would never forget, but not quite. And Leinster, I think it was Jimmy Osborne, who got in there so quickly to poach the ball, but that was close to being the career highlight for Pitanari.
One of the great sights in not just modern day rugby, but in rugby in general. A tight head prop in open space, and finally a bit of fight, you know. The ruck and the counter attacking, we can question a couple of these passes. That one from Lukine looked just about okay, and it's a good line from the big man. Again, Leinster do well to come back. No support. I think that just shows how out on their feet Zebre are, just not even able to support the ball carrier. And look, Massimo Brunello, fairly distraught figure.
Not sure those were passes. There were more chucks than that build up. But what a break by Juan Pitanari from Rosario in Argentina. So here's John McKee, short line out, 4 in the line out. Brian Baird, as I said, calling the line out. Ball goes to him.
No, Zebre man in the way.
Colin's seen a huge amount of ball in this game. Luke McGrath doesn't like his kick. Here they go now, and Fusco and Pitanari. Well, he's knocked the ball forward there. Stop regularly picks it up. And they will come back for the scrimmage. Zebre, remember, very competitive this season. There are 5 wins coming against Munster in round 2. That was a great game. Ospreys both in Parma, Ulster, Edinburgh both away, and the Dragons at home. Plus a draw with Edinburgh. So they had their good moments.
Yeah, you briefly mentioned it in the first half. That draw was against Edinburgh was the last minute try with an unbelievable touchline conversion. You know, literally right on the
square, hold the
touchline to save Edinburgh. It's going to be very important for them. But this is always a really difficult fixture for Zebre. Historically, away to Leinster, it's never looked on with much fondness. It's been proven that way today.
The victories against Ulster, Edinburgh, and the Dragons, that was a victory run of 3 successful wins for Zebre. And for a team that's just 4 wins in the previous 3 seasons all told, that was quite something. Conan again, and again there's a lot of space for Leinster to explore. Here is Kieran Froley. The dummy is caught by the Zebre defence. And Froley saunters over for another one for Leinster.
I'm not going to give you scrum penalties if Andrew takes 2 steps forward and then deaths it.
I don't know how many more times I can say too easy, but far too easy at just dropping off tackles, Fusco. And you'd be more annoyed because there's a couple of replacements that have come on. They're hoping to do the right thing, bring a bit of energy, but one of the easier tries that he will score in his career.
I think we need to drill down into this. You know, it's an easy victory for Leinster today, but you've got to remember that Leinster have lost in the semi-finals of this competition in the last 3 seasons. Twice to the Bulls, once to Munster, I just mentioned, the Jack Crowley drop goals. So we have witnessed this kind of performance before from Leinster, and they get to the knockout, semis, finals, and they lose.
Yeah, to be honest, they're not going to learn anything from this game really as a collective or individually. You know, I mean, it's always nice to get on the scoreboard, but really playing against a really particularly poor Zebre team today, and you know, I think it is correct, obviously, to highlight that Zebre have had a better season than most, but today it's just not at the running at all.
You know, Leinster are kind of becoming the Rory McIlroy before he won at Augusta this season. You know, you're waiting and waiting and waiting for the drought to be broken, particularly in Europe.
And do you start making contrasts with, you know, Ireland and that quarter-final berth in World Cups? Does it start becoming a bit like that?
James Lowe's great take in the air by the Nelson-born winger. Gessie. Good footwork. Left winger.
Backwards.
Yeah, and here is Dare. Gets the offload away to Mohamed Hassa, who was one of the development players in the Italian squad for the Six Nations. Offloading is precise. Garcia.
Tackle now!
Yeah, that's powerful.
Never on.
From Zebre clearing the ball out, trying to increase that ruck speed. So critical, of course, in the modern game.
18 Leinster never back on before slowing the play.
Bit of reprieve here for Zebre just to get a bit of territory in. You definitely don't want to be a team left at 0. It's never a good place to be.
What were we? Just to that scrum, I thought you beat them, but just don't force them down. Okay. And then if you do that, I can't give you the penalty. If you just stay up and go through like you have, I can't.
So he rolled his shoulders
Okay, I thought you helped them do that, but if that was what happened for it. But if you just stay going through it, I can reward them.
Leinster 15 clean breaks now. 580 metres mid. 60. Georgie Simon today, offloader extraordinaire with 36 this season. He was snuffed out by Northampton last week. And they've got their hands on the ball again. And Linster and now John McKee.
Not now, Zebre.
So breaking up this Zebre line out. Luke McGrath, they're going to go again from deep. Why not? Here's Kieran Crawley, Robbie Henshaw. Here's James Lowe. Gregory was right in front of him. So kicking option was deployed. Now Fusco. Flat pass. Gessie could be through here. Can he get round Crawley? He can. He's surrounded by blue eventually. But this is promising. Lots of yellow shirts on this side of the field for Paella. Over 16 stones of Tongan. Trying to hammer his way through that Leinster defence. Garcia. The angle's good. Bianchi, Stabile. Leinster will want to keep this at 0 if they can. Jack Niederbauer defence, is it going to be broken down at last? Picking and jamming, and eventually Zebre do get their score, and Garcia is the man who scored it.
Well, thank goodness for that. Thank goodness for that. Garcia at the end, it's well taken in the end. It shows well beaten on the day, of course, but again, Jay-Z, wonderful little line, and just getting a glimpse of his footwork, leaves a couple of Leinster players for dead. And this has been an area that under Brunello that they have improved. Entries into the 22, they haven't necessarily scored as many points in years gone by, but they're a lot more pragmatic, and which is a good case there. Going through the phases, getting people in the right areas, and eventually tagging on the 5-pointer.
Giacomo Dare, 2 caps for Italy. Played fullback actually against Ulster earlier this season on for Montemore. Squiggly, to say the least. But Garcia with the try. The man from Tucuman.
We were chatting a little bit beforehand, weren't we, just about Garcia, but he's 10 Argentinian caps, He's highly rated for me. He could be a bit hit and miss, but took his try well there.
Kieran Crawley with the restart. There is Garcia, under the radar of Felipe Contepomi, the Argentinian coach, and of course a hero very much in his Leinster days. As a 10 or in midfield, Felipe. He was the man that was eventually ousted by Johnny Sexton, but it was a bit of a struggle for Johnny to get past Felipe. In fact, it was an ACL, I think, in a European semi-final when Johnny almost finally made that big impact. Stabile. Garcia. Will they have a bit of confidence from that try? Garcia certainly looks like he has. Jemison Gibson Park is on. Again, he was on as a blood in the first half. Jimmy O'Brien is lassoed as he tries to break through. Gibson Park, Crawley again. Quickly off the line through Bianchi. Zebre in defence. Gacy, whose run that led to the try was a bit like a terrified tabby cat.
Yeah, he's 3 caps for Italy. He's got this year 19 clean breaks. He's got X factor. The thing that would just let him down a little bit is his defensive reads. Maybe a little bit like James Lowe. There was big questions a couple of years ago. He still has those issues that need to be ironed out a bit. Definitely ball in hand. He's very exciting.
James Ryan taking the line out ball. Ryan in the Lions squad. Crawley, Jimmy O'Brien on the switches. Jimmy Osborne so close to getting through. Here's Crawley now. Puts it into the path of James Lowe. No problem for Gacy. So Jimmy Osborne gets a chance to go again. Jordy Barrett on his outside with a lot of grass in front of him. They build up a head of speed. Robbie Henshaw carving through. James Ryan in support. Baird. Gibson Clark. Culhane now. He'll be delighted to get a run in the blue shirt here. He may have quite a bit of work to do before the end of the season with Ken and Doris out for the foreseeable. Here's Frawley to Osborne. Can they find their way through this Zebre defence again? It's more soft tackling from the men in yellow. Now Jordy Barrett, and the spinning offload was almost too clever for Ravislava.
Yeah. 8 and 12.
Yeah, I've got to feel a little bit for Simhani there.
You go.
Ball coming at him. Probably wasn't expecting it.
He's having a rest here.
No, probably was in the breadbasket. But you just mentioned, we haven't spoken about Caelan Doris. Obviously,
we want to eat.
The news that he's going to miss the Lions tour. I think for a lot of people, he was going to be the captain and fully deserving of that. So it's bitterly disappointed for Irish fans, rugby fans. Really has been a fantastic player, and it just could show the cruel side of sport.
Ferrari's on. Number 20.
Solid platform.
Yeah,
solid platform. Yeah, I'd love that.
And also Filippo Grego.
Yeah, I'll be like
That man's worked pretty hard. He's had a decent season, Seville. Big contributor to many of the good things Zebre have done in 24-25.
Form up, lads.
Probably, and I'm probably biased, but an unsung hero of the year, the competition. He has a bundle of energy that is unbelievable. Always very difficult when you're with a pack that gets dominated most weekends, but he's always gives his best, a big standout.
Wait.
Garcia. Oh, good hands, because the pressure was coming on again from Leinster. Oh, look at Jemison Gibson Park muscling his way into contact. James Ryan makes the tackle. Pinned inside their 22 Zebre, and up on the outside came Jordy Barrett, which actually created the space because there was no one to fill that hole, and it's Grego who gets away with the ball now. Paella, and he flicked the ball to where Scott Gregory was until he moved.
All still alive.
Just a little bit of confusion at the end. Gregory just anticipating a switch.
They can't be offside.
Just an example from Leinster's defence there, that whenever the rush doesn't work, and
well, again, John Cullen's still on the field, 71 minutes played. No rest for him, that's for sure. Here's Frawley. With Doris out, you might sort of consider resting Jack Cullen with the knockout games to come. Anyway, not my decision. Here's Grego.
Use it.
Well, there's no one there to usually shift the ball on. Eventually, Canali gets there. Ever present in the starting side. Canali will most of the games this season anyway. On the bench today. Paella. This time the little flicks work out well. And now it's Ferrari. Brought down by Robbie Henshaw, Jimmy Osborne. The tag team. Extravagant flick-ons into the path of the Leinster defenders.
No hands, Leinster.
Still got Garcia. And then the zippy pass. Ricocheting off Di Bartolomeo.
Spot on, you nailed it. You've done wonderful. I can't fault you.
He tackled you. I think
that's because you went through the names with me before the game. I'm terrified to get any wrong.
Yeah, but make sure you don't win it, okay?
Leinster, remember, they won 4 of these championships in a row from 2018. That run ending with that final piece of silverware in 2021. And lost the last 3 Champions Cup finals. 2 to La Rochelle, 1 to Toulouse. That was after extra time, you might remember.
You don't crap, do you? 4
Champions Cups for them. Still waiting for that Fifth star, the drive for 5 continues. Runners up 4 times.
I'm just mentioning, would they pull Conan or give him the whole game out of the 630 meters that Leinster have made? He's contributed 118, so he's getting the long distance sprints into his legs today.
Don't hit through that mark.
19 carries for Jack Conan. No one has carried the ball more. The Leinster number 8 in the Leinster side.
This is not an area now that Zebre will be too fond of. Leinster have just carved this Zebre backline to shreds off first phase and got Osborne in behind the scrum.
It's right in the middle of the pitch as well. Off goes Gibson Park, out to James Lowe, takes on Scott Gregory.
Back into touch.
Goes backwards at the touch.
Line.
Zebre bottom of the URC, last 3 seasons, 58 defeats, just the 4 wins.
Oh yeah, sorry. Go back to the penalty line.
4 players this season in Gonzalo Caseda's Six Nations squad. Jacob Akrula, Dylan Gacy, Luca Zola, and Danilo Fischetti. Who's off to the Saints next season. Plus 3 development players, Canali, Di Bartolomeo, and Mohamed.
Kenny tapped it, yeah, we're going to line out. Sorry, did. Sorry. Yes. Sorry. Take the line out. Sorry, the AR said to me we go back to the penalty, but you tapped it quickly, so it's a line out. Sorry. He did. No, he tapped it. He did.
A little bit of confusion, but it's still going to be Leinster ball anyway. And yeah, just mentioning some of the players that Zebre are going to be losing as well. There's Zambunin as well. Andrea Zambunin, who's heading off to Exeter, 6'8". Always handy to have in the line-out, but not playing today.
James Ryan takes a blanket of blue, wraps around him.
Once!
Tom McKee at the tail. Great pass picker. Jemison gives him up. Jordy Barrett. What an offload that was. No look back door. Here goes Ryan. Bird supporters there from James Cohan. And the replacement gets another one for Leinster. Into the final 5 minutes. And they've been on a rampage all evening.
I think if there was a try to probably sum up the 75 minutes we've seen, that was probably it, just in terms of a little bit of skill from Barrett, which has separated him from the rest, and just such poor tackling
from Zebre. Yes, granted, when Ryan Baird gets ahead of steam, he's pretty difficult to stop, but again,
any professional team, one player coming around the corner like that, busting tackles, never a good sign.
Well, Leinster are full of class players, but Jordy Barrett looks like added class amongst class.
Yeah, and even from the second, he had maybe a bit of a quiet start in his first game, but didn't take him long to settle. And I'm sure there's always the itching desire to have signed him for another season, because you don't have that sort of integration period again. He knows what the club is about, and not a surprise to see him named man of the match.
Yeah, they've got that mate weight next season, Rico Ioane.
Yeah. Leinster, use it. Door.
Gibson Park.
Off the leg.
This is looking for Sketty's signing for Northampton next season. Italy have 11 players in their Six Nations squad
On your front man, lad.
this season, playing outside Italy. So quite a few now in France or BC at Toulon, Capioto, Toulouse, Montejoani and Lyon. So a lot more Italian players, and I've said this before in Zebre and Benetton games this season, have been bought and shipped outside the country. So does that suggest the standard is rising?
No, it's their policy to send, I suppose, what are deemed as the stronger players abroad. So if there is the opportunity to play in France and England, I think the thinking is whenever there's only 2 teams, it might open up a few more spots for some of the other players. But it's hard though when you realistically have only got one competing team, and that is Benetton, and yes, the have said Zebre have made improvements. It's always hard to see improvements when you nearly ship 70 points. But that generally has been the policy for the last little while, and
Save again, please. Just hold this up.
I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Jordy Barrett's contribution was sumptuous today. Couple of tries setting others up. By the way, Benetton, they've got the bonus point, try bonus point at home to Glasgow, the champions. 33 points to 7 the latest score. So Benetton looking to put themselves in a good position, very good position actually, to qualify for the knockout.
Yeah, they have to go to Munster, don't they? Isn't that the last game? So that will be
We don't need to do that.
a tussle, and I suppose another goodbye for those Munster legend players this time in Cork.
Get this ball out. Come on.
But at least Benetton have given themselves a good shot now, so it certainly won't be easy going down to Cork.
It should be a cracking game next week for a number of reasons. Peter Malley, Conor Murray and Stephen Archer saying farewell to Limerick at Thomond Park last night in their 30-20 victory against Ulster. Peter Malley getting a try. Almost created a crater in the pitch with his touchdown. It was rather emphatic, should we say. He brought to LeMayo and Linster not quite doing enough to turn the ball over. Del gets it on really quickly, and now Scott Gregory. Drago, Gessie. It's been tough to tie down all evening long.
Up again, whistle.
Into the final minute. Can Leinster get into the 70s?
Will they go for another try, or will they just kick it out, avoid any unnecessary injuries at this stage?
Now it's the last round of the game.
Flip side of that, Zebre.
New platform, please. Let's get the ball out of now.
They're praying for this final whistle to go. Get on the plane back to Italy as quick as possible and prepare themselves for a game that they will still believe that they can win at home to Connacht.
Don't push up, please. Stay down.
Stormers leading the Dragons, 29 points to 5 down in Cape Town.
5.
Colin, they play Edinburgh later on this evening.
Fellas.
Edinburgh very much in the mix for the knockout stages. They're at home to Ulster next week at the High Stadium. Ulster are ruling themselves out of things and resigning themselves to Challenge Cup rugby next season after that defeat in Limerick.
5. 5. Use it.
Gibson Park, yeah, they're going to play. Here's Henshaw. Foley, Jimmy O'Brien. James Lowe on the switch. Henshaw. A little bit of basketball, 7 style from Leinster to finish with. I think they do want to get into the 70s, don't they? Here's Ryan Baird. Gibson Park, Henshaw. Slight delay on the pass, and Gibson Park goes and gets support. And away goes Jack Conan. They are going to pass the 70 mark of Leinster. Jamie Osborne scores beneath the sticks. And it has been a tsunami of points for the men in blue in Dublin.
Probably fitting that it's Jack Conan with his 20 carries and 120 metres plus that eventually gets that line break, has the presence of mind, player of his experience, an easy finish. An easy day at the office for Leinster.
Well, that's that. Very straightforward for Leinster. They guarantee themselves top spot in the URC with a match to go. And they will take the number 1 seeding into the knockout stages. 10 tries in total, all started by Ronan Kelleher. Ryan Baird, Jordy Barrett there, the player of the match with 2 to his name. James Lowe, Vander Fleer, Jamie Osborne with a couple, Kieran Crowley and James Culhane. So a little bit of respite, not a lot, after the defeat to the Saints, the devastating Champions Cup semi-final defeat last week. But they've managed to pick themselves up and do a professional job against this completely overwhelmed Zebre side tonight. Leinster parading 9 Lions in their 23, and a side with 9 Lions in it should really take a Zebre side apart, shouldn't it? Only Dan Sheehan, Tadhg Furlong and Hugo Keenan of Leinster's 12 Lions not involved in the 23 tonight. Ronan Kelleher will have been delighted to join Dan Sheehan as one of the hookers on the plane to Australia in July. Ryan Baird effectively calling the line out today. I want to try scores out there. Final score here at the Aviva Stadium in Dublin.
Seven in favour of Benetton against the Glasgow Warriors. The Stormers, since we last had a look, have secured a 4-try bonus point. So Glasgow down into third at just 1 point ahead of the Hollywood Bet Sharks. Glasgow play against Linster next weekend. Hollywood Bet Sharks to finish their campaign at home against the Scarlets.
Do you wonder how much damage that Championship Cup game against Linster have done Glasgow?
Dan Duplessis drifting outside his man before taking the ball. Pinter. Nell coming around the corner to take the pop from the vet. The carry for Andre Hito Pinter.
What is that?
Jennison. Fabulous performance from the man wearing the 7 jersey. Really grown into that blindside flank position for the Stormers this season. Gelant, ball over the top beautifully, and Duplessis and Hartzenberg. As if it wasn't sealed before, it really is now. Suleiman Hartzenberg over for a 5th try in the season's URC.
The abilities that lie within this team are just incredible. They possess so much skill and panache. This was a beautiful try. The hands here, the setup here, the vet, then they run across, they try dragging a few players, comes in here. This from Dan Duplessis is superb. To go in, falling over through that tackle and to get that offload into the hands of Suleiman Hartzenberg, sharp as a razor.
Warwick Gelant has also been so involved in a number of the tries this evening with some spectacular offloads. Creative ones, certainly.
And the call came in from the referee there, and the kick from Willemson. That's the offload. The offload, almost like a water polo, almost like a basketball style pass. from Warwick to get that ball out wide, to get it to Dan Duplessis and then get it into the hands of Hudson-Berg.
5 tries in total now. More conversions.
What is that? Use that!
Clearance kick from Muldevet, not finding touch. Some slick hands in the midfield now from the Dragons. Lloyd Evans dragged down.
Shane Lewis Hughes.
Away by Black. Kelleher Griffiths goes for loose head to the 10-metre line. Lloyd Evans spinning out of the attempted tackle of Devet. Blacker, beautiful soft touch from Aneurin Owen, and Anderson up from fullback. Ashton Hewitt just unable to keep his feet in the field of play.
The referee's assistance flag is up in the air. They want to be defensively sound, the Stormers as well. They want to start going, they want to be working in defensive plays. Norman Laker will be looking at this to see how they put their bodies on the line. Good tackle here from Willemse. He's got good body strength as Willemse.
No. Rats with an uncontested take at the line out.
Zemiro. Use that!
Devet down towards halfway. Really decent clearance. He'll be making his way to the Vodacom Bulls at the end of this campaign. Herschel Yankees also leaving the franchise, but Lucas Reiner coming his way back from France. Take up a contract here.
I think Bordevet's a really good signing for the Bulls. He'll help as well. It was a superb kick. They just did that. No nonsense, get it out. One good field with that kick. Opportunity here now for James Benjamin to keep on out. Advantage. No straight.
Well, a really skew throw from Benjamin. And De Villiers manages to pop it out the back. Willemse for Similani. And Palant to his left, loader. Pops it up for Palant. And, well, he probably could have scored it himself, Warwick Palant. Vet was running on his shoulder. And not sure if there was a cover defender coming to pounce on him. Warwick Palant unselfishly presents the try-scoring opportunity to pull the bet.
That's the thing to do to here. The hands that are shown from side to side. Then it needed to straighten here. Good work by Similani, guys. The release of that pass is good from Kalat. He'll get it back from Loader. Goes down to ground. Could almost have rolled and scored, just like you said, Matthew. But that's why he is so popular in this team. He puts it into the hands of the player that's following up Paul DeVet. Perfect positioning by the little scrum half.
Momentum could certainly have taken Kalant over the line there.
5.
Once again, Jackie Willemse has to crack on and get rid of the conversion, which he glances off the crossbar and over. Maybe that's the secret. He's given the hurry up twice in a row. He's 2 from 2 for the kicking team. Beautiful handling in the build-up. Wendy Similani, who got the first try of the game, while many were getting to their seats, and Warwick Kalant could just have rolled. Paul DeVet was on his shoulder. Into the final minute we go, and the restart beautifully handled by Connor Evans. Penalty quickly taken by the Murat. Debate again. Is there one more to go? Andre Nikofeta took from Tiernason. Couldn't identify the support, so ran flat out into Lloyd Evans. Seconds remaining, and the Stormers with another opportunity. Wandi Simonani gets a second. And a seventh for the DHL Stormers. 5 of them in the second half. Hard to tell if that's a smile or a grimace, but we'll go for the former. To be struggling, maybe a little bit of crap. But real intentness from the DHL Stormers. Just secured the ball from the kickoff. Taken it through a few phases and kicked it out to end the game, but no. Felt they had one more in the tank. Did have one more in the tank. The second for Wandisile Simonani as the hooter sounded. And the celebratory commemorative patch on the front of the jersey, Damien Binnenser, who scored a try and almost 3 conversions. The third is not to be a conversion that would have taken the Stormers to the half-century mark. But what a night it has been for Damien Binnenser. 27th birthday on Wednesday. 50 matches in the Vodacom URC, but more importantly, 100 in the jersey of the DHL Stormers. And still, you would hope, many, many years to go. The Dragons, well, they battled gamely, especially in the first half and the early stages of the second. The home side led by 14 points to 0 at half-time. They thought they'd scored a third just before half-time. That was chalked off with a TMO intervention, which also saw Salman Murat sent to the sin bin for 10 minutes for a dangerous clean-out at a ruck. And that's where he sat for the first 9 minutes of the second half. But once the passes started sticking and the DHL Stormers found their rhythm, they were irresistible at times. Warwick Hillant involved in the build-up to a number of the tries. Marcel Tennyson, outstanding, and he is going to be named as the Vodacom man of the match. Just look at the meters made, the carries, the passes. It talks to a dominant performance. The Stormers with 56% of the possession. It took them a while to find their groove, but when they did, they were unstoppable at times. Far from a perfect performance. They will look at some of the missed tackles. They'll look at 15 handling errors. The conditions may have been different at times, but